You weren't supposed to see this. Most people work their whole lives and never realize how money actually moves. But today, you just found something hidden. And once you see it, you can't go back. You are 24 years old, and you work a double shift 3 days a week at a logistics warehouse on the east side of the city. The other days you drive for a delivery app. You are not lazy. You are not stupid. You work 60 hours a week and you clear just under $31,000 a year before tax. And every month the numbers come out roughly even, which means every month you are one car repair or one medical bill away from the edge. You know this. You think about it with the specific, practiced awareness of someone who has been managing scarcity for long enough that it has become a skill. The shift happens on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic one. Your car needs $400 in brake work you cannot defer, and when you transfer the money from your savings account to cover it, the account balance reads $62. You sit in the mechanic's waiting room for 2 hours and you do the math in your head the way you always do, and the math does not work, and this time instead of accepting that conclusion you open your phone and start reading. Not scrolling. Reading. You search for terms you have never seriously engaged with before: passive income, asset building, capital allocation, cash flow structures. You read for 2 hours. The car is ready. You drive home and you keep reading until 1 a.m. Something has shifted. Not your circumstances. Your orientation toward them. Within 3 weeks you have opened a brokerage account with $40, the minimum the platform requires. You do not tell anyone. You understand instinctively that the people around you will either dismiss the idea or ask you for money you do not have, and neither outcome is useful. You begin studying dividend-paying stocks, index funds, the mechanics of compound interest applied over decade-long timeframes. You learn that the reason these tools feel invisible to people in your income bracket is not because they are secret. It is because no one in your immediate environment has ever used them, which means no one has ever explained them, which means they exist in a category of knowledge that is publicly available but functionally inaccessible without the specific motivation to go looking. You go looking. Every day for 4 months you read for 90 minutes before your shift. You watch no television. You buy nothing that is not a necessity. You redirect $40 a month into the brokerage account, then $60, then $90 as you find small optimizations in your spending. You are not building wealth yet. You are building the architecture of understanding that wealth requires, and you treat the distinction seriously. The first real turning point arrives at month 7. You have been reading about real estate investment trusts, publicly traded funds that own income-generating properties and are legally required to distribute at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders. You buy $14 worth of a diversified REIT index. 2 months later it pays you a dividend of 31 cents. 31 cents is not money. It is a proof of concept. It is the first time in your life that money has made money without your direct labor being the mechanism. And you understand in that moment that this is what separates the financial experience of people with capital from the financial experience of people without it. It is not the amounts. It is the structure. Capital generates income. Labor generates income only when you are actively performing it. You have spent your entire life in the second category and had no practical experience of the first. And now, with 31 cents, you have crossed a threshold that most people in your position never cross because they never had $62 in a savings account and 2 hours in a mechanic's waiting room that redirected their attention. Over the next 2 years you had 3 income streams with the deliberateness of someone building a structure rather than collecting opportunities. The first is the brokerage account, now holding $4,000 accumulated through aggressive saving and reinvested dividends. The second is a high-yield savings account that you research carefully, not the default savings product offered by your primary bank, which yields 0.01% annually, but an online institution offering 4.6%, a difference that on a $2,000 balance represents the gap between earning $2 a year and earning $92. The third is a small digital product, a structured spreadsheet tool for shift workers managing variable income, that you build over 6 weekends and list on a platform that charges a 12% commission. It sells 11 copies in the first month at $9 each. Then 8 the next month. Then 14. You are making between $70 and $130 monthly from something you built once. None of these amounts are life-changing in isolation. That is the point most people miss when they encounter this information and dismiss it. The individual streams are not the mechanism. The compounding of streams over time, combined with the reinvestment of every dollar generated back into the system, is the mechanism. You understand this with a clarity that took you 2 years to develop, and you understand equally that 2 years feels like a long time when you are managing scarcity month to month, which is precisely why most people never get there. The cognitive load of financial stress actively reduces the capacity to engage in long-term financial planning. You know this not as an abstraction but as a lived experience you are currently navigating, because even now, with 4 income streams generating modest but real additional revenue, you still work the warehouse and the delivery app, and the margin is still thin, and the pressure is still present. What has changed is the trajectory. A year ago your net worth was $62 and a depreciating car. Today it is $11,000, built entirely from redirected spending, reinvested returns, and the proceeds of a digital product that required no ongoing labor. You have not increased your income from employment. You have built a parallel system that operates independently of your employment, and that system is now growing faster than it did in its first year because the base is larger and the compounding is accelerating. You begin to see the architecture of the hidden economy with a specificity you did not previously possess. You understand why certain financial products are heavily marketed to people in your income bracket. The predatory short-term loan, the lease-to-own furniture, the credit card with a 29% APR, and why others are never mentioned at all. The products marketed to the poor extract money. The products available to the wealthy generate it. The difference is not intelligence or discipline. The difference is access, and access is determined almost entirely by whether someone in your environment has already navigated the system and can show you where the doors are. You did not have that person. You found the doors yourself, late, at significant cost in time and effort, which is the tax the system imposes on people who arrive at financial literacy without inheritance or mentorship. You are now building a 4th income stream, a small content platform documenting the specific steps of your process, monetized through a combination of platform revenue sharing and a paid newsletter at $7 a month. 41 subscribers in the first 2 months. Not significant as income. Significant as a signal that the information you spent 2 years acquiring has value to people who are where you were, and that value can be structured into a product. You are 27 years old. Your total passive and semi-passive income is now $430 a month. Your employment income has not changed. Your financial position is categorically different from what it was 3 years ago, not because your circumstances changed, but because your understanding of the available structures changed, and you applied that understanding with consistency over time. The challenge now is different from the challenge then. Then the challenge was scarcity and ignorance of alternatives. Now the challenge is pace. The gap between where you are and where the math says you could be is still large, and the temptation to accelerate through higher risk instruments is present and requires active resistance. You have read enough to understand that most people who attempt to compress the timeline through leverage or speculative positions eliminate the gains that took years to accumulate, and you have worked too hard and waited too long to absorb that kind of setback. So you hold the pace. You reinvest. You add one new stream at a time, with research preceding every decision. You accept that the process is slow and that slow, applied consistently, produces outcomes that fast and careless never does. The $62 still lives in your memory with a precision that sharper moments have not displaced. You do not revisit it with shame. You revisit it as a calibration point, a fixed coordinate from which every subsequent decision and its outcome can be measured. The mechanic's waiting room. The phone in your hand. The 2 hours that redirected everything. You did not receive an inheritance. You did not receive a mentor. You received 2 hours of unstructured time and enough frustration to use them differently than you had used every previous hour. That is the whole of it. And it is enough, and it is also not enough, and both of those things are true simultaneously, and you hold them both as you open the portfolio dashboard on your phone and check the numbers and close it, and go back to work.